And away we go.
All right, welcome back. Today, my guest is former NFL linebacker Dennis Haley of the Baltimore Ravens. And Dennis has released a new book called The Playbook, The Art of Dreaming. And he's here with us today to discuss the release of his new book and his family. And we're grateful to have him. Welcome, Dennis.
Hey, what's up, Bradley?
Hey, what's going on, Dennis? How you doing, man? Doing all right?
I'm doing good. Yeah, doing good. It's Friday.
Yeah, you better believe it. Did you get any of this nasty weather?
We did. So Wednesday night, we got a lot of ice. We probably got about a quarter inch, probably about a half inch of ice here in Southwest Virginia that kind of shut things down for a day and a half. Yeah. But not too bad. It warmed up today, so everything's kind of melted away.
Yeah. My son just moved to Richmond just a month ago.
Okay. Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. They said they didn't hardly get anything. So there must be kind of a split between what was coming through the Midwest and what was really on the coast. And you kind of got caught maybe in the middle of it.
Yep. It was we got a little bit, not as bad. It was calling for more. We kind of got lucky. It didn't do it. We got more ice and snow or anything.
Yeah.
So
did it melt?
It did. Yeah, it did. Yep. it did. Yes. Yeah.
That helps. People in Texas, wish theirs had melted. For sure.
No, it's just crazy. When you don't have it and you're not prepared and it all piles on. It's just like, man, it's tough. I just feel bad.
Yeah. And I remember a couple of years ago, I think it was around the Super Bowl, that it snowed. It got real cold and snowed in Dallas. It wasn't northern snow.
Right.
And it was bad enough, but I think it lasted like 2 or 3 days and then it was over. These people don't know what to do when it doesn't go away. They don't know what to do.
No. And they don't have furnaces or, they don't have heaters and it's, mean, even clothing wise, you think, okay, how many jackets and extra clothing do they really have in Texas compared to what I would have here in Virginia?
Yeah. And I've heard of roofs collapsing because they're not built to hold the snow. Barns collapsing. I know I have a friend of mine who they have been going out into their car to warm up and charge their phones.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. And that's tough because I've heard of some, incidents with the carbon monoxide and people sleeping in their cars. You just feel it's a sad situation.
Yeah, for sure. So, well, I appreciate you joining me on this. I guess I don't have it. I thought I was going to have an opening, but I didn't. I usually just wing it, but we're kind of doing it backwards. Usually I just start from the beginning and wing it, but I appreciate you being here for sure.
No, thank you. No, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. So let's kind of, for anybody that's watching or listening, let's kind of run down the accolades, shall we? Let's let them know who we're talking to. All right. So this is former NFL linebacker for the Baltimore Ravens, Dennis Haley. Now, so I want to make sure I got this right. You're a 3-time state champion in Virginia in the late 90s?
4. 3 in football, 1 in basketball.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do you? I don't want to get caught up on that, but do you look back and think about how lucky you are to be able to do that? There are a lot of great athletes that never even come close to that.
Yeah, I do. I do look back. It's funny. I actually, being that it's Black History Month this year, my former high school has asked me to be their keynote speaker for the month. So I went around to the high school, the middle school, the elementary school, and did some inserts since everything now is going to be virtual. But I actually went there and did a couple cuts, and it was just, you go back and you look, and it's the first time I've been in that building in a long time, and I did. I was just like, man, how blessed for the opportunity to be able to play for a school that had tradition like that, and then to just be able to win 4 titles. That's kind of unheard of. So yeah, definitely blessed for that opportunity.
Yeah. So as a father of 2 collegiate athletes, both my boys, one played football, one played basketball, both for programs that the entire time they were there were ranked in the top 5, usually around number 1, somewhere around number 1 for the 3 or 4 seasons that they were there. And both of them advanced to the semifinal game, and both of them had a disaster happen in the semifinal game, and they lost to a team they should have beaten that ended up winning the state championship. And so it's not haunting, but we still talk about it, about how things didn't. So one of the things I've coached for a long time, one of the things I always say is that winning requires skill, a little bit of coaching, and a whole lot of luck.
For sure. No, it is. It definitely is. It is all three. Yeah. For sure.
Well, that's really cool. I didn't know that about the fourth one. And then you played at the University of Virginia for Al Groh, right?
I did. I played for Al Groh, but I got my first year. I was with George, the Hall of Fame coach George Welsh recruited me, and I was with him my first year, and then he retired.
Very cool. Yeah. Now, when he retired, how did that go? Were you worried when he left? Was there a panic?
You know what? There wasn't for me, because I think personally I was going to Virginia regardless. Like I picked the school. I mean, I love George Welsh. I loved the coaching staff, but I loved Virginia more, if that makes sense. Like I really fell in love with the school, the campus, the tradition of the school, and the program. And when Welsh left, I mean, we all knew Welsh was nearing his last year or two when I got there. So it wasn't a huge surprise. And I had redshirted my first year. So, I was okay, because I was starting new again, coming in. So it was okay. I didn't have any doubts or anything, because I was redshirted and I wasn't playing. So it wasn't like I had started something. And
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. A lot of these questions are just questions being a sports fan over the years. I've wondered when kids commit and then a coach leaves, or that kind of thing. So I appreciate you filling me in on that. So, and then then you went to the NFL. Did you go straight to the Baltimore Ravens?
I didn't. I came out as a free agent, undrafted free agent, 2005 with the New York Jets. They picked me up. Yep. Which, interesting enough, one of my college coaches left the year before and went to New York. So there was a relationship with one of my coaches at UVA that I knew that was at the Jets. So that's how that even all came about, and ended up with the New York Jets.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Great. And then you played for the Baltimore Ravens.
Yep, I did. I was with the Ravens for 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. And that was under Brian Billick, right?
It was. Yep. Great coach. Cool. Some great players on them teams.
Is this where I tell you I'm a Colts fan?
That's all right.
You guys lost to the first. Well, you were there. You lost to the Colts in the first round, right? To Manning.
Yes.
What was it like to play against Manning?
Yeah, that was awesome. That was pretty crazy, just to think about being in that situation. And even when I was in it, I can remember being like, "Man, I'm playing against Peyton Manning in the AFC playoff game." And we should have won that game. I'll never forget that one. That was a crazy game. There's always games. You play 1,000 games as kids, and you only remember the few that you lost, and that was one of them.
Yeah. I just talked about 2 of them as a father with my kids. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's pretty cool, to look back and be able to tell your kids and your grandkids you played against Peyton Manning. That's pretty exciting. So, all right, I got to ask. My nephew is a huge football fan. Yeah. And he brought it to my attention that Charles Haley is also from Virginia, and he wants to know if there's any relation.
There is no relation that I know of. Now, I've grown up. He grew up just probably 2 hours down the road from where I grew up. So, as I know, no relation. But man, what a great player.
Yeah.
What a great player.
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. You talk about, and I can't even think off the top of my head how many rings he has. But
I think he has 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think it's about 5 Super Bowl rings that he won. It was pretty crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, cool. Well, so we wanted to come here and talk about you've released a book called The Playbook, The Art of Dream Making. And I know we want to talk. I know you don't want to talk too much about it. You want people to buy the book, right? I mean,
right.
But if you want to, would you go ahead and give your spiel, give your elevator speech, and tell us what it's all about?
Yeah. The Playbook, The Art of Dreaming. it's my story, and really it's an autobiography with um, lessons learned in it, and I created it, and I wrote it for the fact to be able to share my story and for um, the next generation, boys, girls, men, women, for anybody to read it, to really use it as a playbook. Because when you think of a playbook, you think, okay, you're using that to learn from. That's your plays. That's what you're going to use to win the game and to be successful. And that's why I wrote it, so they could read the story, read my stories, read my successes, read my failures, read about what I did and how I overcame my obstacles, and use that in their life, and use those life lessons and those life hacks to help them fulfill their dreams. And that's why I call it the playbook. And then the art of dreaming is the process. It's the process to dreaming. There's an art to it. And you can't just do it. You can't just dream and nothing happen. You have to put in the work. You have to put in the sacrifice. You have to, you have to have the self worth. You have to be disciplined. So that's the art of dreaming, is the process in between having your dream, having a goal, and achieving it.
Okay. I appreciate you going through that. Is it geared for young athletes? Is it geared for parents of young athletes? Geared for anybody who wants to do anything?
Yeah, it's geared for anybody. I mean, I think young athletes reading it will get a lot out of it, because I really go through kind of in depth my mindset through middle school, my mindset through high school, and some of the obstacles I had to overcome with academics and being a student athlete. And then in college, going through the ebb and flows of being a student, having academic issues, overcoming academic issues, not playing a lot my first couple years, to being suspended, to then playing, and then having the dream of playing in the NFL and coming to kind of fruition. And there's a lot of athletes out there at all levels that I think could get a lot out of this book.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So I mean, you go into pretty good detail about being that age and your thought process. And did you ever think about quitting?
Yeah, I mean, I I don't know necessarily quitting. I think before I got to, and I'll start even in middle school, like sixth, seventh grade, I was okay. I was an okay player. Sixth grade, it didn't play that much. Seventh grade, I barely played on the middle school team. And then it was like once, you know, that mindset, once eighth grade hit, and I think mentally I was prepared and I wanted to play. And you kind of go through that puberty growth spurt type thing. And, you just mentally by eighth grade, you're kind of like, okay, I'm 13. This is what I want to do. This is what I dream of doing. And at that point, I just was like, okay, I want to play football. And it just clicked with me about the age of 13. And that's when I knew I knew my, and and I tell people, you want to be humble, but you want to be, it's like a humble hustle. You want to know your worth. And if you're good, you want to tell yourself, man, I can play this game, and, I can be better than the next person if I put in the work, and I put in. And that was my mindset from literally eighth grade all the way through high school.
Yeah. Well, so how hard was it going from winning 4 state titles to not playing in college?
Tough.
Okay.
It was very tough, because again, that 18, 19-year-old age is a tough age for a young boy or girl, coming into their own kind of adulthood, per se. And sometimes you don't know how to handle it. And for me, I had, besides not playing, school for me was not as important as it needed to be at that time also. So I had a couple things going that were tugging me off my path and off my dream. And then in the book, which I won't tell you about, there's a scandal that happened with me also, with a professor and a bunch of different stuff that went on. So I had a lot going that could have put me off my path. My first 3 years of college was rough, but I had met my wife, my now wife, my sophomore year in high school, in college, and we met, and she moved up with me through this scandal. And I think without her, my mom and my dad, and kind of my brother and support staff, man, I definitely wouldn't be where I am today.
Yeah, I think that's important. I'm glad to hear you say that. I've coached athletics for about 30 years, and
Mm-hmm.
I've coached a lot of players. A lot of them played D1 basketball. A couple of them in the NBA, and a couple of them have played overseas. I've seen a lot of kids who had the talent, had things going for them, and the littlest thing derails them. Whether it's grades, whether it's girls, whether it's alcohol, whether it's just tired of the struggle and they want to do something else, and then they
Yep.
come back later and wish they hadn't.
Yeah.
You know, there's a famous player from Indianapolis who went to Tennessee and completely destroyed his career. And he spent a lot of time trying to get back into D1. Do you remember Jimmy Banks?
I remember. Yes, I remember the name. Yes.
Yeah, Peyton Manning actually
Yep.
said that Jimmy Banks, or that oh, I just drew a blank. The Tennessee coach that Manning played for.
Oh, no. Gosh, what's his name? I can't think of his name off the top of my head.
Fulmer.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Peyton Manning told someone I know that Fulmer had said that Jimmy Banks is one of the best athletes he'd ever seen in his entire life. That's a hell of a compliment.
Yeah.
Jimmy had some problems at Tennessee, left Tennessee, and then ended up in a D2 program trying, a few years later, trying to get it back, and he never did. So I think it's amazing that even good people with a good support structure, there's always still something that can come up and derail you. And I think that's a good message for these kids to hear, that even if you're doing everything right, something can still trip you up. So if you're not committed, you're not trying to walk the straight and narrow, then the odds of that happening intensify. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, no, I fully agree, and I like how you put it. And it's good, and I think it's good sometimes because you don't always have to come from a bad family, come from a bad neighborhood, come from inner city. All those three things are very relevant and very true. But you can come from a mom and dad, you can come from a good support system, and you're still going to have struggles. And that was me. And I think that's my story. Is I wasn't that person, but I was this, and I still have the same struggles and the same things happen, and we all come. And at that point, that's where we all meet in the middle, and you got to make a decision because we all have something that is going on in our lives, no matter where you come from. And I think in college, more college, because you have kids from all over that are good and that come together that have never really been on their own. And that's where, that kind of thin line is who's going to have the mindset to, because we all going to get off path. It's almost inevitable, even through life. You're not going to stay on that straight path to success.
Yeah.
But it's who has the mindset and who has the fortitude to get back on track to continue their dream. So
yeah, that's right. That's good. All right. So, and you have a couple daughters that you coach, is that right? So you're going through this process with them?
We got three daughters.
Wow.
that are one's in my 13-year-old 8th grader. She does basketball and track, and I've got two, my 11 and 8-year-old. They're full-time gymnasts. So we're all up and down the East Coast with them for gymnastics. This is gymnastics season, so yeah, it's nonstop.
So since your view has changed on all this, now you're on the other side.
Right.
What's the biggest lesson you can draw from that, from being the athlete to being the parent of the athlete?
I think and I'll say it for my daughter, she's a gymnast, and it's been more competitive for her at an early age. And I think the lesson for her is just her mental toughness, and not necessarily for me, but it's really teaching her that, okay, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to fall, but let's, next play. Like I preach that next play, because don't learn from things that go bad, and then don't make the same mistake twice, and and learn from that. And the same with my daughter in track. It's watching her run races. You win some, you lose some, and just that next play. And I think that's the biggest thing for me, that teaching them is really even kill. I'm an even kill person. and personality. And I think that helped me. I know it helped me. And I know it's helped me even now through where I am in the business world. Is like, be excited, be sad, but let's go to the next play.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And do you hear your coaches come out of your mouth?
Yeah. sometimes I'm like, I probably shouldn't have said that to her. I should probably be a little nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that you scoffed at, rolled your eyes as a player that you now you say to your daughter and your own players?
Yeah, I do. It's this one saying from Al Groh, never forget. And it was actually like, it's a lesson learned that I was like, okay, it makes sense. I will treat everybody fairly, but I will not treat you equal. And that, like that stuck with me, because even with my daughter, 3 girls, that's not fair. Why did this happen? And I say it like, I will treat you fairly, and I will, but I'm not going to treat you the same. And that tell my players that, that's based off of work ethic, based off of ability. Like, that's just something that stuck with me, and that's something I say all the time, and I laugh at it. I say it jokingly with kids that I play, and they laugh too. But they get it and they understand it.
Yeah, I like that saying. I've had that philosophy as a parent and as a coach. I say all the time with my boys. They're in their 20s and 30s now.
Mm-hmm.
But that one of them I had to beat until he was 12, and the other one I didn't have to start beating him until he was 12.
Yep.
That's exactly what you're talking about right there.
Yep, that's it.
But I think when you look at some of the great coaches like Krzyzewski at Duke, he's real good at meeting his players where they're at and discovering their strengths, knowing what to take advantage of, how to work it into the system, and letting the players play. And I know he's got a system. He comes from Bobby Knight and that kind of thing. But I think it's a true testament to his success. And I know you probably have a string of coaches that you could name do that. And I think they follow that Al Groh philosophy, to meet the player where they're at and treat them according to their personality, what drives them, what motivates them, that kind of thing. I think that's what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. That's exactly it. And not everybody is for everybody. And I say that because Al Groh came in to UVA, and he is a Bill Parcells lineage from that. And that's tough. That's tough. That's a tough-minded, tough, tough, physical-minded person. So he didn't take any crap, and he wasn't babying, young men either. And that took a lot to get used to for players. And some players didn't like him. Most players didn't like him, and some did. But I grew up with a high school coach that was the same way. So I like coaches like that. I like tough coaches. I want you to be tough on me, and I want you to push me and not let me slack off if I'm capable. And that was, that's Bill Belichick, Bill Parcells. It's the same, just no nonsense kind of butthole sometimes mentality, not on purpose, but that's just how they came across. But I'll tell you, guys like that, especially Al Groh, he worked wonders for me at UVA when things were going south for me. He helped me get on path, and he gave me a lot of second chances to be successful because he believed it, and he was tough on me. And what do they say? When the coach isn't tough and he stops coaching you and stops talking to you, that's when you need to worry.
Yeah, you better believe it.
Yeah,
you better believe it. So, what was great? And I don't know a whole lot about Groh's coaching style, but I'm a huge Bill Parcells fan, huge, and I have a problem. One of the things that, because I watch football with a coach's mindset because I've coached for so long,
right?
I just kind of have a strategic mindset. So one of the things that drives me nuts is penalties, man, just penalties. And I can tell you, I talk a lot about teams, even teams that are having mild success. It'll derail with the penalties. It'll eventually catch up with them.
Yeah.
And I would imagine one thing Parcells is known for and Belichick's known for is the lack of penalties. Was Grohl that mindset as well? That he set the discipline?
That was it. Discipline. That was it. It's smart, tough, focus. I can even now I can remember the saying on our shirts: smart, tough, focus. And that was his mentality. Yeah. You made mistakes, you get penalties, you weren't playing. And it didn't matter how good you were, but you weren't playing. And tell you what kind of coach he was a tough coach, but he taught the game, how he knew it. And would he be a successful coach today? No, not because of him, but just because of, the tough mind. I don't think he'd be successful today as a head coach, just based on his style of coaching. But he came to Virginia and we were winning, and he made us win because he made us tough and he made us physical. And I just remember I can remember saying, if you get hurt and you're on the field, don't lay there. So if your leg ain't broke and your feet work, you bet not lay on that field and let the trainer come out and get you. And I had a specific game, and my wife, she remembered, she was in the stands at the time. I took I'm a linebacker, so I'm wrestling with an offensive lineman, and I took a knee, like he knee drop. You know how I was on my back.
Yeah.
He knee dropped me right in my stomach, and I swore he broke every rib in my body. But I laid there for probably, I'd say 3 seconds. And in my head at that time, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't get up, but my feet aren't hurt. I'm going to crawl off this field before before Coach Groh yells at me. So that's just the type of mentality that he put in us. Like, yeah.
Well, that's that get back up when you're knocked down, get back up mentality. Yep. You think, I know you said your high school coach was like that. Mm-hmm. How do you think having both those coaches instill that kind of a discipline and work ethic? Has it carried over to your adulthood outside of football?
It definitely has, because in business and work, whatever you're doing, you want to do your job, you want to do it right, and you want to be disciplined in it. And I think for me, I don't want a guessing game. I want what I need to do, what we need to do as a team, what goals we need to reach. I like to have specific goals, specific like KPIs, let's say, for work, key performance indicators. I want that stuff, and I want my VP or my boss to tell me, hey, look, this is what we need to get done. This is, I want it laid out. And that's how my coaches were. They were very straightforward, very focused, and and I like that. Some people take offense to that direct approach. And I think my management style, it's helped me as a man. It's helped me because I know the difference now. And I know you can't be that direct, but it's good to be that direct. And then on the other side of it, be personal, be relatable, and be engaged, with your team. So I think it has helped me to know what to do and what not to do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense, because I have the same philosophy. When I moved from Indiana, Indiana's big basketball. Everybody knows that. I moved to Florida, and I began coaching down here, and it's a completely different world. And just little things like when you're running sprints, touching the baseline. My players knew. No matter what you did, even if you fell down, you crawl like Dennis Haley crawling off the sideline with broken ribs. You touch the baseline. But a lot of players in Indiana have that mentality. But I came down here, and these kids would pull up, 3 feet short of the baseline and turn around and run the other direction.
Just to be first.
And it seems so trivial, but touching the baseline is the discipline of being tired and not wanting to reach down and touch the baseline, but you have a directive to do so. And if everybody in a team game, especially in football, is following their directive and doing everything they can to the best of their ability, no matter what, and executing their instructions, their orders to touch the baseline, everybody pulls that off, then the entire team succeeds. But I think more than anything, and it's just a discipline. It's doing something you don't want to do because you have to do it. It's so trivial when you break it down. But I think it starts with these kids at 10, 11, 12 years old. And I know you could probably sit here and tell us, and I'm sure you outlined it in the book, of instances where things that you didn't want to do in practice and things that you questioned that drove you to do that. Parents are getting in the way, man.
Yeah.
I've since retired from coaching. It's a lot different now than it was even when I started coaching, and even when I was playing. So Um, I, I just want to ask you about those things. I think they're important. And you being a professional athlete have been around a lot of professional athletes, and can probably verify to anyone listening that the coach who, there are coaches that are just jerks. They're living out their high school dream, whatever. But there are a lot of coaches that are asking your kids to do something for a reason that's going to pay off in ways for your kid that you can't even begin to fathom. And sometimes it's going to hurt their feelings, right?
Mm-hmm. It is, and I've dealt with it in, let's just say, gymnastics, and I won't call names or anything, but there's one coach that is tough, hard, disciplined, and we're talking about girls, so there's a different mentality anyway than young men, and my daughter, I let her know that nothing's wrong with that, and that's what we like, and that's what we want.
Yeah.
If there's a problem and it becomes personal, then that's my business, and I'll handle that. But as an athlete, you listen, you digest it, you take what he says, and you do it. And if you can't do it, that's something different. Yep. That's different. The ability, but coaching style, that's kind of how I tell all my girls. It's not my youngest one because she's 8 and she's just out there running around. But my oldest two is, you want to be coachable. And there's gonna be times where you don't like being coached, but you have to listen. You got to digest, take what they say, and just move on, and don't say nothing, and just take it. You don't have to say anything.
Yeah. I always told my kids, always listen to what they're saying and not how they're saying it.
Yep.
Take your emotions out of it for a second and just break down what it is they're trying to tell you, and then apply.
For sure.
Well, cool. So, what's next for Dennis Haley?
Yeah, I think for me is I currently work in healthcare, and I am on our operations executive team, and I do efficiency projects for our hospital system. I go around to our practices within our region and look at processes and make it more efficient. So if patients have check-in problems at one site, when I go to that site, we bring a team together and we figure out how to make it better. So that's what I currently do now. And I think for me to kind of combine the two with my book is I really want the book, and I want to push the book out, because at the last chapter, I created what I call the 5 pillars to achieving your dreams. And it's self-worth, work ethic, discipline, sacrifice, and relationships. And those are what my 5 pillars that I think are very successful in achieving your dreams. And I map them out in the final chapter of the book. So really with that, my next adventure is creating a curriculum around those 5 pillars and really getting in depth and creating kind of a workbook or a lesson around those 5 pillars and how to achieve your dreams. And really speak into that. So that's next for me with the book, and kind of the journey that I'm taking for the next steps with the book, and kind of what's in it.
That's really cool. Who will you be targeting with the course itself? Will it be the athletes? Will it be the parents, or will we have one for each, or how will you do that?
You know what? It's gonna be universal, I think, right now, and I think how I envision and how I dream about it coming to kind of fruition is, for the athletes, for young athletes, to be able to understand those pillars and what it takes, kind of each one, how to use it and how to put it in your life. And then from another perspective is kind of in the business world, being able to get in front of a team of salespeople, or a team of people that, leadership at a healthcare system, to understand, like, okay, these are the pillars to achieving dreams, and these are things that you can look and you can put into your everyday work ethic in your everyday life with your team, and how to develop and how to make it more efficient. So that's kind of, I look at it as universal, really.
Yeah, I like that. I will say that the athletes need that as a class in high school and college, and maybe not just athletes, kids in general. We need less math and less English and more stuff like that. More.
I agree, and that's kind of the backing behind the backstory behind the book and some of the stuff that I put in it is because I didn't have it coming through. I didn't have anybody tell me, these things and how to be successful. And even after playing professional football, that was probably the hardest journey that I ever had to take, was trying to find a job and figure out what I needed to do next, because I didn't prepare. All I knew was football, and nobody told me, hey, let's prepare for life after football.
Yeah.
And I didn't know that. And I think these pillars is really, understanding my self-worth. I didn't really think I was worth anything but to be a football player. I hadn't developed a whole lot of relationships, but football relationships. Work ethic. I had work ethic and discipline, but it was in a different mindset, and really understanding that and putting that together. So yeah, that is a course that I'm with you 100%. That should be talked about to every athlete at every level.
Yeah, I didn't have that coming up either. Here's I was a good athlete. I wasn't an exceptional athlete. I was very good athlete. And this is back when AAU had just started, right? I mean, it started probably the late 70s basketball, but this is the mid 80s. And I went to I think a 15 and under tryout for an AAU team. Went the first 2 days. Coach pulled me aside and said, "You're doing a great job. We're looking forward working together. We want you to do this and that." And I didn't go the third day, and I got cut.
Yeah.
I thought I'd made it,
Right.
And just looking back at just being a 15, 16-year-old kid, if I'd had something like you're talking about, someone to really kind of put that mind, and I don't know if it would have stuck at 15, but it would have come back around at 22 or 25 or 35 or whatever the case may be. So we need some of that. Good deal. I'm really looking forward to that coming to fruition for you and seeing that develop. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Anything you want to add before we go?
You can purchase the book, The Playbook, The Art of Dreaming. You can purchase it on Amazon, or if you want an autographed copy, you can inbox me on Facebook at the Dennis Haley. You can find me on Twitter at Dennis Haley, and you can find me on Instagram at Dennis Haley 58. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have to apologize. I did buy the book, but I haven't had a chance. I haven't had a chance to read it all yet.
That's all right.
Yeah. So I'm in a PhD program, and I'm reading 250 pages a week, man.
I barely got time to read emails. I can't. Man, it's nonstop. So I get it, man. When I come home, if I don't crash, it's always we're ripping. Look, I've got basketball. I have emails coming in all different directions every day. So I get it.
It's tough.
Yeah,
it's real tough.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Dennis. It was a good conversation. And I'm looking forward to reading the book. And I employ anyone who's listening. Go out and buy the book. Support Dennis, and spread the word and share the word. So. Again, I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming back. Maybe we'll have you come back some other time.
Yeah, I can talk. I can talk sports all day. I can talk life all day. I like.
Yeah, yeah, me too. So, all right, cool. Well, I appreciate it, man.
All right,
and we'll be.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it. Okay, thank you.
Take care.
All right, bye.
Bye.